After the UFC Singapore event with Max Holloway versus the Korean Zombie, after the Korean Zombie retired and had a pretty fun fight against Max Holloway, he still lost, but after that fight, Paul Felder actually put out a tweet saying that after that fight, the Korean Zombie put in his head the idea of having a big retirement fight like that, and now that's all he can think about is that main event. So honestly, and it seems like Paul Felder might actually come back because John Anik put out a tweet on him riding his bike, and it seemed like he was insinuating that Paul Felder is actually going to come back in 2024. So if that is the case, which I would love that, it'd be cool for Paul Felder to get like a proper send off because Paul Felder had really fun fights when he was in the UFC. He had that real fun fight against Dan Hooker, had fun fights against Edson Barboza. Just has a fun style. Paul Felder does. He's just a banger. And he does deserve like a proper retirement in front of a crowd because his retirement was against RDA on 6 days' notice in an empty Apex card. So it would be cool for him to get a proper retirement. And if he does actually come back, then I have the perfect opponent for Paul Felder to fight. So after the Bobby Green or King Green, whatever his proper name is now, I guess he still goes by Bobby Green, but his legal name's King Green now. But after Bobby Green versus Jared Gordon happened with the headbutt situation, Paul Felder was, pretty pissed off because Jared Gordon's a good friend of his, and on commentary you could tell he was pretty pissed off. And Bobby Green actually came out and said some shit about Paul Felder. Like I think he called him biased and just talked a bunch of smack about about Paul Felder, saying, I can't wait till I see you, and all this stuff. And then Paul Felder actually responded to that, saying, "I look forward to it, King," like sarcastically on Twitter. So honestly, it seems like the stars have aligned. This is like the perfect situation. If Paul Felder comes back, then he can fight Bobby Green. Like, why not? Why would that not make any sense? Bobby Green's only got one win. He's coming off one win, and it's against Tony Ferguson, who's on the downward spiral. So if Paul Felder wants to make a comeback, Bobby Green is the fight. It'd be a fun fight. Bobby Green's got a good fun boxing style, and Paul Felder for his retirement. I don't think he wants to be defending takedowns the whole time. I think he wants to have like a fight where he's going to get to show off his Muay Thai. So honestly, this is like the perfect matchup I can think of. Paul Felder versus Bobby Green. There's beef. It's a fun fight. You could do it at UFC 300 probably. That'd be a real big event. It would be good for a send off for Paul Felder. Maybe he actually fights more than once. Like who knows? But yeah, I think this is the perfect situation for Paul Felder. Bobby Green. Bobby Green's not going to get like a ranked fighter for beating Tony Ferguson at this point. Tony Ferguson's on a 6-fight losing streak. So it's not like Bobby Green's going to get like a massive jump up the rankings. He called for Jim Miller. So maybe Bobby Green will fight Jim Miller in the meantime or something. But, Jim Miller, Paul Felder, like, he wants legends. Like, he wants veterans, it seems like. He just beat Tony Ferguson. So he's fighting all these, like, veterans at the moment. So why not Paul Felder? It makes perfect sense. You don't like him. I'm not going to say hate because I don't know if he hates Paul Felder. But, he seems to dislike him. He thinks he's biased. Thinks he was biased towards Jared Gordon and all this stuff. So honestly, it makes sense when you look at it that way. So yeah, I think you match up Bobby Green and Paul Felder, and yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I have to say about this. Is I think that's perfect matchmaking. There's no way that fight would be boring, and it's a perfect retirement fight for Paul Felder. He gets to fight somebody he's got a bit of beef with as well. So I'm sure he would have added motivation with that being the case. So yeah, that just makes perfect sense. I hope Paul Felder does come back. He does, like I say, he deserves a retirement fight. He was a fun fighter, and it'd just be legendary, for him to go out with a big war like that. Rafael dos Anjos fight wasn't the most entertaining. It was more him just defending takedowns and dos Anjos just shooting on him a lot. And I'm not saying that wrestling or grappling's boring. I like grappling, but just that compared to other Paul Felder fights wasn't the most entertaining. Paul Felder normally has wars out there. Plus, he took it on 6 days' notice. So it's not like he had any time to prepare for RDA. But his cardio will be crazy as well because he's doing all these triathlons and everything. So hopefully Paul Felder does come back, and hopefully it's against Bobby Green because yeah, there's no way that'd be boring. Maybe if it's not Bobby Green, you could do him versus Tony Ferguson because unfortunately Tony Ferguson's not going to retire. So maybe that also makes some sense. You know, that'd be probably an entertaining fight. You'd get a good fight out of it at least. But I think Bobby Green makes more sense. I'd prefer to see Paul Felder versus Bobby Green than a Tony Ferguson matchup at this point. But I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm excited to see if Paul Felder actually comes back or not. Because yeah, I just love it. It'd be fun. It'd be entertaining, and it'd be a good send off for him. So yeah, Bobby Green versus Paul Felder is the fight to make if Paul Felder does come back. Uh, and yeah, that's all. That's all there is to it. Thanks for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, and put on that notification bell because, like I say, I make so much content that I don't want to be talking to myself here. It'd be nice if some people could instantly pop up on the video. Like the video, give it some likes, give it some love. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys next time.